Hey everyone, I'm Scott Stokely and I'm here with Hugo Angwald. I had to rehearse that to get it right.
Yeah.
I had to rehearse it so I could pretend that I didn't have to rehearse it. And funny story, just a minute ago we were shooting. There's always multiple takes, and a mosquito landed on your forehead, and it doesn't bother you a bit. And I said, "Cut! We got to get the mosquito," because if people watching see it and you don't flinch, they're gonna think it's on their screen, and they won't be paying attention to us.
Nope.
Okay, so the reason we're making this video is that Hugo is a wheelchair athlete or para athlete. Is there
I say wheelchair athlete.
wheelchair athlete?
Yeah.
We've been playing wheelchair disc golf together several rounds now at a couple different courses, and a question comes up all the time about how do I make a course wheelchair accessible? And I haven't addressed that in any of my videos because I didn't yet have the experience, but I think now I have some experience,
Yeah.
but I also now have an expert who can actually correct me when I'm wrong. If I have one opinion about wheelchair accessibility and he disagrees with me, go with him.
Yeah.
um, I will kind of direct this because there's a number of things that I'll bring up, but then I'll get your feedback on them. So the first thing, and I think this is a misunderstanding people have, is that you don't necessarily need to or even want to make your disc golf course wheelchair accessible. Uh, Doing so could either become a overwhelming project in its scope, and then it doesn't happen at all, or you wind up doing things that make the course less challenging, which is less fun for the people not in wheelchairs.
Yeah, exactly.
But the biggest part of it isn't either of those reasons. It is that most courses, because of their length, are not suited for this level of golf, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just the reality. I mean, there's a reason why MPO and FPO don't play the same courses. The course changes when you throw it a different distance. So the courses that we were talking about playing on would be a course that would also really just be like a family friendly course with
Yeah.
a couple tweaks
Yeah.
for you as well.
Yeah.
That means, I think, in a perfect world, you have your course, but know that you can put a 6 or 9 hole course on the
Yeah.
same property,
Yeah.
and make it accessible not just for you, but
For everyone.
for older players, for children,
Yeah, exactly.
for people of different skill levels. So you're not taking away from your course. That's
No.
the big takeaway. You're adding something
Yeah, exactly.
so more people can disc golf at your facility, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the first part. Separate course, right? The next part, specific to you, it needs to have ground that you can roll on.
Yeah.
What are the challenges on the ground?
The biggest challenge is thick grass or loose gravel.
Thick grass and loose gravel.
Yeah. And big rocks.
Yeah, big rocks for sure. But if you have big rocks wide enough for a wheelchair to pass through, you're fine.
Yeah.
And roots are actually surprisingly not as big of a problem
No.
as I would have thought.
Yeah. Roots aren't a problem at all.
Okay, so you can get over the roots on the ground, so you don't
Yeah.
need to make perfectly flat
No.
ground by any means.
No.
But thick grass is
Yeah.
a challenge.
Yeah.
The second thing I've noticed, because when I play with Hugo, I don't help him on purpose. In fact, I don't help you to a point where you crashed
Yeah.
2 days ago, and I watched you crash. And someone watching probably thinks I'm the most horrible person in the world. But I said to you, I need to see what your challenges are. If
Yeah.
I'm helping you, I'm not going to see what your experience is.
Yeah, exactly. And one crash is it's nothing. It helps us to.
To see what the problem is.
Yeah, exactly.
Plus, it's funny.
Yeah.
If you're a guy, it's funny when your friends crash. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, it just is.
Yeah, of course.
If I fell, you'd laugh too.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm not a bad person because I
No.
laughed, but,
Yeah,
I saw this, and where the challenge was, well, steep slopes can be tough,
Yeah.
and
And steep slopes with gravel is.
oh, impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have any type of gravel, well, The more firm the ground is, the steeper it can be. But if
Yeah.
it's gravel, it almost can't even be flat. It just sucks.
Yeah, exactly.
But one thing I noticed was that, and this is where the crash happened, was you can't go up that steep slope. So there's a longer path, just like in any walking path, where you're walking around and you're traversing the side of the hill. But when you traverse the side of the hill, you're now on a angled slope sideways. That's where the problem happens.
Yeah.
So this is the first thing where you actually would need to put a little bit of extra effort into something specific to your situation,
Yeah.
is that you can't be traversing the side of a hill because your center of gravity is too high and you tip.
Yeah.
So you would have to put something like just dig it out a little bit flatter.
Yeah.
You don't need to dig out the rest of the course, but
No.
but when you're going up the side of a hill, you do.
Yeah.
Bushes and obstacles, I mean, like, those aren't really a problem.
No.
You would have a retriever,
Yeah.
and what, maybe 3 meters at least.
Yeah. Around.
So
three.
a 3 meter, which is like 10-foot long retriever, means you can have a 20-foot wide bush or obstacle on the course, and as long as you can get to both sides, you can reach your disc.
Yeah.
So you don't need to avoid areas that have crap to throw into.
No.
In fact,
That's yes makes it more fun. If it's obstacles and not just totally flat.
yeah, this is, by the way, a big mistake I think a lot of players are going to want to make, is making it too easy.
Yeah.
Like hitting trees is part of the game. You know, like you can make a family-friendly course with a hole that you're probably going to bogey, and that's fine.
Yeah.
There's professional disc golf holes that I'm probably going to bogey. Like,
Yeah.
that doesn't make it not fun.
Mm.
It's not fun if it's 150 meters and it takes 5 shots.
Yeah. Exactly.
But as long as there's trouble to get into,
Yeah.
you want that.
Yeah.
So make the course, make a real course, make a course that's challenging,
Yeah.
make it interesting. Another thing is that you can, with a little bit of foresight, you can look at areas where you know that you would need something, and if you're in a wheelchair. For instance, just crossing the road from the pro shop to the course, there's
Yeah.
a little culvert, just a little ditch. It's only this wide, this deep, but for you, that's
That's impossible.
impossible.
Yeah.
But we're at Alla Disc Golf Center, and they just have a little ramp.
Yeah.
It probably cost them $6 to put in. It was a nothing amount of effort to put into that literally would have prevented you from playing
Yeah.
had
Exactly.
it not been there.
Yeah.
Which brings us to another point, which this is the problem at your home course. The tee pads are
Yeah. Too high. Or yeah.
well, they're this high.
Yeah. And that's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, problem meaning you can't do it. I mean, actually, technically, you could probably get up there if you had to.
Yeah. But
It would suck to do that every time.
yeah, for nine holes it would suck.
Yeah, so when I played a wheelchair round of golf against you. Actually, if you look at my channel, that round is on there, and we just teed off from behind the tees, which is, it's a fine workaround, but it's not necessary to be a workaround.
No.
Something else I noticed, and actually I haven't asked you about this, so I just want to get your opinion, is that I was actually looking at, there's actually 2 types of courses that I would consider wheelchair accessible, and they're not the same. There are courses that you could play by yourself
Yeah.
that have absolutely nothing that you have to
Yeah.
really deal with, but there's also courses that you're probably, I think, more likely to play, which are courses that are wheelchair friendly. But maybe there's parts that you need a hand with, but if you're playing with people, it's not a big deal.
No.
That opens up a whole
Yeah.
range of
Oh, yeah.
of possibilities, because like we just played one hole here, like you got through 8 of the holes no problem, and there's
Yeah.
one of them you needed help on.
Yeah.
If you were by yourself, you couldn't play that hole.
No.
Well, I mean, you could, but
Yeah, I could, but no.
yeah. But the course itself doesn't have any obstacles that with just a little bit of assistance is a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, Would you say that you would prefer courses to be the ones you could play on by yourself, even if that meant sacrificing some of the challenges? Or would you prefer the course be harder and then have those challenges to deal with?
I would prefer harder courses because it's funnier.
It's more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the case. You don't have to get it perfect.
No.
Okay, it's not about perfection. It's you have a course, you have a piece of land, you put 6 or 9 holes in. By the way, great promotional value for your course in your club. There's nothing wrong with getting value out of it as well. You're the one spending the money and putting the work in. There's nothing wrong with being able to promote it as being a family-friendly course, which is, I wouldn't even say it's not a wheelchair course. It's a family-friendly course that's wheelchair accessible.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah.
And then you get the value of being able to promote that. The city will love it. The community will love it. But just do it. Like, if you do this, next thing you know, you'll see kids out there playing. You'll see older people playing.
Yeah.
We saw some people playing that were not the healthiest, maybe, been not in the best shape. They would have had a struggle on the hard course.
Yeah.
But they were able to play it. And then, of course, you.
Yeah. So it's for everyone.
Yeah. You're not changing your course.
No.
You're not ruining your course by putting in concrete or anything like that. You're adding something so those people over here that can't enjoy the game have a way to enjoy the game.
Yeah. Exactly.
And you can do it not as difficult as it might seem. Anything you want to add? No? Here, how about a quick story? I posted my post with the pictures the other day?
Yeah.
And you were contacted
by a wheelchair player in a town like 50 minutes from here, and I'm gonna try to meet him.
Yeah.
Play with him.
Yeah, perfect. And then obviously Johannes down in Germany.
Yeah.
You've been in contact with.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more people out there that would play if it was accessible to them. Well, they would try it, but it's like anything else. If you try disc golf, you're gonna like it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, I hope this helps everybody. I'm going to recap what I just said. Pull the trigger and put those holes in. You don't have to get it right. You can get it wrong and then be told, "Hey, that's a problem," and then fix the problem. Don't paralysis by perfection is the biggest barrier to doing things. Like, it doesn't have to be right. It just has to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you make it better.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You want to go play around at disc golf?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go golf.